Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff and Tammy McManus are here with me. We're looking forward to the weekend's Scottish Premiership fixtures and beyond. We'll talk about last night's Europa League campaign too, and of course cast our eye over the English Premier League towards the latter part of the show. There's the quiz question. There's also the small matter of a very good competition that still has a wee bit to run.
It's another fantastic competition from PLZ Soccer. You can win this iconic replica Ajax shirt by answering this simple question. How many times have Ajax won the European Cup? Post your answers in the comment section below. If you want to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. It's been really popular, that competition, and of course great prizes. And Hugh Scott says a new theme tune as well now, Peter. Everything's moving at some pace here, Ruffy. You know, we've got lots of new programming coming online. Yeah, absolutely. Did you not notice it? Have you met Ruffy? There's lots of things happening in the background, new programmes. Of course, let's not forget, Tam and Ruffy are with Kerry on a Saturday morning to preview the weekend's Scottish Premiership fixtures. That all kicks off at 9 o'clock on our YouTube channel, and you can get it on Facebook as well. Just one little thing before we give you the quiz question, Ruffy. I think it deserves a mention. You know, I think the big issue have paid tribute to Lou Macari, because down there in Stoke-on-Trent, he's been recognised for helping homeless people. You know what, Lou started out with that campaign looking for some big unused factory, and then of course he started to put these little pods together, just basically to provide emergency shelter, short-term accommodation for about 50 people. It really has been well embraced in that area. It's helped a lot of people, and I think from everybody's football perspective, and obviously at a human level as well, great credit to Lou Macari for this. A great idea.
Yeah, it was a great scheme that really kicked in, and he attracted a lot of sponsors for the area to help him financially, getting the unit and getting everything that went with it. And I saw the interview with the people who are using the facilities, and it's a new way of life for them. It is, and I was listening to a documentary on the radio the other night that even here in Glasgow we have 300 people at the Helaman umbrella getting food every night. It's absolutely incredible that something's not done about that, and I would like somebody up here to do it, a sponsor or somebody, who would really get into it, because I think it's worthwhile. Yeah,
it's something that really should be spread right across all the major cities. Now, there are some people who, obviously, I can't quantify the percentage of it, but there are some people who obviously may not embrace it, who are homeless people for various other reasons. You need to go elsewhere. But for those that are just looking for that little bit of shelter on a cold night, and maybe, something warm to drink or eat, Tam, it's a great idea.
Yeah, as listen, I think the cost of living's hitting everyone hard at the minute, and families are struggling, struggling to put a roof over their families' heads. So, no, I've seen a lot of this with Lou Macari. The pods are tremendous. He's done some great work, doesn't need to do it. I'm sure that Lou could be doing other things in his life, but he's out there helping people, so I'm glad that he's been recognised with that, with the big issue, because over the last 5, 10 or however many years he's been doing it. I think it's an incredible gesture for the people of Stoke.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that in mind, Lou Macari in mind, Ruffy, I thought I'd throw out a wee question about Lou. He joined Manchester United from Celtic, but in which year? Which year did Lou Macari join Manchester United from Celtic? It's a belter of a question, Ruffy. Look at Ruffy going back through the years of his life there.
78.
78, says Tam. What are you going to go?
I'm trying to think if he played against us. I think he did.
Yeah.
Am I on about 78? Am I in a ballpark, Ruffy?
Aye, he's on about there. I'll go 76.
76, okay. It's all guesswork. Give us your thoughts on it. It's one of those ones where you just pick a year. You never know. You might get it right. I'll give you the answer at the end of the programme, and we'll also look at that competition again for you, because we usually finish it with Tam and myself on the Saturday programme at 4 o'clock till 6, the last chance then, and then we announce the winners. And I think we've had a lot of really happy people, some that we've actually delivered to personally, the competition prizes. So A lot of happy people. Thanks to everyone who's hitting the subscribe button. The figures going up and up for not only the programme, but the content, the news, the breaking news, and the download of the app, and people embracing the podcast as well. It really is appreciated. Here's the Scottish Premiership fixtures for the weekend for you to look forward to. As we mentioned, Celtic Aberdeen, undoubtedly one of the games of the day. Dundee United St Johnstone, Hibs against Kilmarnock. I think Livingston against Rangers has got the makings of a cracker at the Tony Macaroni, and St Mirren against Ross County. On the Sunday, it's Motherwell taking on Hearts. So that's what we're going to discuss today. Give us your thoughts on it and some of the stories that have been kicking about. Thanks to Keith Fife for joining us, Paul Brady as ever, Paul Baird as well, Robert Davey. Hi to so many, Matt and Hugh and Sean. Lots of people join us on a regular basis. And Johnny says, so looking forward to Motherwell announcing a new Motherwell manager when that arrives. I'm sure there are a few people in the mix now, but who are Motherwell going to plump for, and are they going to get it right with this appointment? So lots to talk about, and we'll hear from managers and players on this programme. How many stations give you 6 days a week of programming and 7 days a week of breaking news and stories that you can enjoy, and of course unique video content? Ask yourself the question, okay, Celtic Aberdeen, Ruffy, 9-point lead, 2 of them playing at 3 o'clock, which is great. It's one of those days when you want to make sure that you're, swaying from one ground to the other to find out what's happening. Celtic haven't lost a single league game at home this season, and Aberdeen poor on the road, only winning 2 of 12 away games.
Yeah, one sort of the good old days when Aberdeen were firing on all cylinders. They would come down to Parkhead and put in a shift, and it'd be a very difficult tie. But as you've just said there, it doesn't matter who comes to Parkhead just now. It seems to be one-way traffic, and it's just a matter of time whether they score early on or whether they score late on, and I think that'll be the same tomorrow. I think Aberdeen will come down and make it hard for them to get beat. But I think eventually Celtic will just wear them down.
Yeah,
I really do.
I think for Celtic fans' perspective, they're more delighted with the news that Kyogo will be fit for the Cup final next weekend. So that's a really good bit of news. But this week, I think maybe O gets a chance to stake his claim in a starting place.
Yeah, I think he'll play. I think he'll play tomorrow. And listen, if he goes out and bangs in 2 or 3 goals, then he puts himself right in the mix to start the final. But I think Kyogo obviously got a priceless equaliser at Ibrox in the last game. He's been brilliant in cup finals. Remember him scoring 2 against Hibs to win Celtic the League Cup. So no, I think he's an important player for Celtic to get him back fit, Kyogo. I think a lot of Celtic fans would have feared the worst when he went down holding his shoulder. It looks as if it's not nothing serious, and he'll be back in next week. But still a great chance for O to stake a claim and to endear himself to the fans.
Interestingly enough, Ange Postecoglou was, as ever, on a Friday, speaking to the assembled members of the media. There are days, Ruffy, where managers just get a little nippy with everybody. Just
nippy with?
Well, every one of them. But so I know some fans, various fans, take great delight in that. I just think it's par for the course. Sometimes you get a manager, he's had all the stress and strain of the week. Sometimes he can't be bothered with some of the questions. That's fine, you have to take it on the chin. He was asked a number of questions which I don't think he wanted to be drawn on. One of them is the Green Brigade, who are hoping that they can get a campaign to get the whole section of the entire length of the Johnstone stand. There's currently 3,000 standing spaces at the bottom corner, but they want the entire length of it for a standing area, which will be called the Celtic end. Obviously, that could become even more intimidating for any travelling team, as they do create a good atmosphere at times, unfortunately, and sadly, I think there are times when some people who unveil banners tarnish the good name of the club. It's a big dilemma for the Celtic board and Celtic Football Club to try and balance between a good atmosphere and how to behave and how to conduct yourself as a Celtic fan. Ange Postecoglou gave us his thoughts on the Green Brigade.
I pride myself on trying to be as knowledgeable as I can across as many areas as I can, but the Green Brigade's thoughts are not kind of at the forefront of my mind right now. I love the atmosphere of Celtic Park, and I'm not alone in that. I think anyone who plays there knows that it's a fantastic experience, fantastic atmosphere, and that is generated by our supporters, no one else. you know, it's a credit to them. We love playing there. I love being involved in the football club there. But beyond that, mate, in terms of whatever each individual or groups want to do with that is beyond me.
Yeah, okay. That was about the best of the press conference, let me tell you. But to be fair, you know, everybody's always looking for an angle or a line from these press conferences, because at the end of the day, neither manager, I mean, Michael Beale's already come out and said, okay, they're 9 point of a gap, it's unlikely we're going to close it. Ange Postecoglou doesn't really get drawn on the 9 point gap and how significant it is for his team. He's kind of very narrow in what he wants to talk about, and no surprise today that some questions that come in, you know, he's a manager, he wants to talk about the football.
Yeah, I think when you are a manager and you're a football guy like Ange, you want to talk about football, you don't want to talk about supporters or possible, you know, stand-read developments or whatever. You want to concentrate on getting 3 points, and that's all he's concentrating on.
Let's talk about the fans then, because we can talk about it. Is it a good idea having that whole section?
I think yes. I think that the atmosphere that the Green Brigade bring to Celtic Park with 3,000 of them is amazing. And I think if they had it right across there, and it was, you know, as you said, the banners sometimes are distasteful and the tarnish the name if they can behave themselves and keep the language clean. You know, there's kids go to games and stuff like that, but I think the atmosphere that they bring, you know, you've got to weigh up that against, you know, some of the banners, and I think the atmosphere would increase the atmosphere at Celtic tenfold, especially in big European nights. If you've got a full stand there standing, you know, getting behind the team, I think the atmosphere would be even better than it is now. So I think the plus points outweigh the negatives for me.
Ruffy, do you share that view?
Yeah, I do. I think if they could get it a wee bit like Dortmund. I mean, Hugh keeps going on about Dortmund. You know, when he's in the stadium, we see it on the telly. It's an absolutely amazing atmosphere. You know, when that whole segment is just bouncing, and that's what it'd be like. I think it'd be very intimidating. But again, the only minus in this whole thing is if they behave themselves, and the banners, you know, keep being very, very good and good. Don't mind a bit of humour. But again, as Tam touched on it there, you don't like to see the club being brought into a bad name.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, it will never go away unless somebody makes a stand on it, but who knows. Paul Brady says, Peter, has any other Scottish football manager asked about questions about their fans? Yes, Paul, absolutely. You know, sometimes you ask questions to do with the club. Sometimes there are managers who are in complete control of everything and obviously want to offer their opinion. Lots of people are different. You know, I'm lucky enough at times to have been in the company of quite a number of the Scottish Premiership managers. Ange is a very engaging, funny guy. You know, good humour, good sense of humour, and he's got that, what I would call, acerbic Australian wit at times. So I don't think it needs to be an us and them. I mean, there are times when managers will answer questions on certain things that don't have to do with how a player's playing. And there are sometimes, to coin a great Scottish word, Ruffy, when they're scunnered.
I like being in a press conference. I don't obviously ask the questions, but I like somebody asking a sensible question that can maybe draw out a bit of humour.
Yeah. Can I just say something to you? There are some questions which you think are not sensible that suddenly deliver a line, that suddenly deliver something that you didn't know.
Yeah.
Do you follow me? The journalist's job is not there to pander and start saying, and you know, believe me, it's been diluted, but the people who go there who are journalists who go in to go to a press conference, ask questions to the manager and they get lines out of it. That's their job. They're not there to annihilate them and go in with a premeditated let's do them in.
But the point I'm making, as you probably know without naming names, there are people who go to press conferences who noise it up for everybody else.
Well, absolutely.
You know, there are people there who might ask the first question.
Maybe one or two in this building.
I was just well, listen, I fought every week with Martin O'Neill, but I don't. You know, we look at each other now and he laughs his head off, and the two of us still cane each other. But I mean, Martin used to come in and see myself and Davy Provan in the front row of the press conference, and he was like, you just wasted, as if we just wasted his day.
Yeah, but I don't believe you would go in there and ask him a question to make him look stupid. You would ask a question to draw a line.
Yeah.
You know, a sensible question, a football question. You know, I don't think you would deliberately go out your way just to annoy him, because as you know, there's another 5 or 6 people go to ask him a question as well. So you'd want to put them in a great frame of mind. But there are some people who go in there with not a football knowledge and ask a stupid question.
Well, journalists are there to find out and try and get to the bottom of certain stories and maybe get something to tell people that they didn't know. That's the essence of the job. Obviously, there are some, a percentage of people who maybe don't go in with the right attitude to it. But listen, we try and promote the game as best as possible. And I think Ange and Michael Beale certainly last week on the evidence of that bit of what I call great sportsmanship on his part is something that's good about it. The one negative, I think, Tam, is there's a lot of good goes on in the game. Sometimes we tend to focus on the negativity because it's a talking point.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. Listen, I think that in terms of Celtic this season, their form's been exceptional. I think they've dropped 5 points all season, unbeaten at home for a long, long time now. So there's a lot of positives going on, particularly at Celtic and in Scottish football. But there's a little spark when we talk about Michael Beale and Chris Sutton at the minute as well, which were entertaining for us.
Yeah.
But there's always something going on in Scottish football for us to comment on.
Yeah, you might want to talk about that in your Daily Record column, but we don't really want to talk about it here, just because I don't think it's healthy to start getting involved in other media companies' battle with a manager. It's their fight. If it's Chris Sutton's turn this week, it was mine 3 weeks ago, Ruffy. It was his 2 weeks ago. It'll not be yours because obviously everybody likes you and you don't like picking arguments.
Vanilla.
Yeah, Magnolia, not vanilla. Listen, can I just say to you, Ruffy, I did say to you, if Aberdeen had real ambition, I think Neil Lennon's a great candidate if you want somebody up there with a will to win. Another mention that a couple of weeks ago I said to you was Gordon Strachan. But can you coax Gordon to go back to Aberdeen? I think he's a great coach. I've got a lot of time for him. I think he would be wonderful. Whether they can pull that rabbit out of the hat, I'm not so sure.
Well, I think I don't see him as a manager or anything like that. I can see him as being a director of football. I can see him, with a lot of influence being about the place, and what he's done at the club and everything. A sort of a Sir Alex Ferguson mode, that he's there. He's a legend at the club as a manager, a player. I'm sure Robson would feed off him. He
worked under him, didn't he, at Celtic as well?
Yeah, I think he would feed off him. And if they were going to give it to Robson, they would need somebody like him there.
Yeah.
They would need a father figure there, to sort of be just about the place. I think he's doing that at Dundee, isn't he? He's helping Dundee. I think that would be a positive move.
Yeah, just one little note with an Aberdeen connection. Calvin Ramsey, he's undergone surgery on a long-term knee injury. He's going to miss the rest of the season. What a blow that is for the player, because he was getting rave reviews in the early part of that big move.
Yeah, it was. It's unfortunate for anyone to pick up an injury, but he's young enough to come back from it. I think he'll be back next season, ready to go again. I don't think that he's probably regretting it now, because there's probably a place up for grabs at Liverpool, the way they're defending, the way they're playing. But I'm sure he'll get his operation tidied up or whatever, and he'll be back fit and ready to go next season. Yeah.
Okay, it's Celtic against Aberdeen. We all know what the forum's like. The bookies have Celtic red hot favourites. What have you gone for, Ruffy?
I have went for Celtic to, as I said there, eventually wear Aberdeen down, and I've went Celtic to win 2-0.
2-0. What about yourself, Tam?
3-0.
Yep, I've got 3-0 on that. 3-0, you can give us your prediction on it and why. It's always good to engage and read out quite a lot of the comments that come in. Thank you very much to a number of people who've mentioned to us. Gary Hudson has just said to us, great, good one-to-one, Peter, with John McMaster. Thanks, Gary. Really appreciate that. We released it this morning. It's the 40th anniversary of the Gothenburg achievement, and of course let's not forget the 1983 achievements. Aberdeen won 2 European trophies in that year, the European Super Cup as well. It's the 40th anniversary. They're all going to get together for 2 big events up in Aberdeen, and it was great having John McMaster in here, Ruffy, because he brought his medals, which was phenomenal. And the other thing that he brought that we all love, and I know Tam and I like to look at these type of things, he brought a suitcase and opened it up, and it had all the classic Aberdeen tracksuits from there that he'd worn, and the strips as well. It was magic.
He's a wonderful player. I bumped into him numerous occasions at Thistle. He's big pals with the Morton boys down there, and he comes to these games. He was a sort of an unsung hero up there, and everybody talks about Gordon and Big Alec and Willie and Jim Leighton, but he was a big internal part of that team.
Yeah.
You know, wonderful football player, wonderful midfield player.
Great left peg on him as well. Yeah, it's really good. Great stories of Sir Alex in it, and of course, great tales of that run all the way to the final. And you should see the medals that he had on the table here. It was absolutely great. If you go onto our YouTube channel, there are more one-to-ones on the way that I think will raise an eyebrow, and obviously your interest as well. John McMaster, Gothenburg great, on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Livingston against Rangers. Rangers 12 wins from the last 13 games, still grinding them out at times, still winning games, and this is before Michael Beale really gets his teeth into changing that side in the summer.
Yep, the most important thing for Rangers and Celtic for that matter is winning, and it doesn't matter how it comes. Listen, if you can win and entertain as well, 2 goals in, great for the fans, but I think when you're Rangers at this minute, you've just sacked a manager, you weren't playing well, you were miles behind Celtic. I think you come in, you steady the ship. I think that's what Michael Beale's done. He's starting to get players back from injury now, which increases competition for places, which I think will drive Rangers on. So, listen, there's still the Kent Morelos situation is hanging over them. You know, I think they'll be wanting, a decision one way or other soon. But no, listen, they go to Livingston, which traditionally has been a difficult venue for teams. But when them getting beat off Inverness 3-0 at home last week, I don't know what kind of Livingston you're going to turn up. Are they going to come out and be fired up, and put that right? Are they going to be suffering from a lack of confidence from that heavy defeat? So I think either way, I think Rangers are more than capable. They've got enough talented technical players to play on that surface and to get a comfortable win. You
mentioned Kent and Morelos. You can only go by what the manager says, and this is his thoughts on how the possibility of both players staying in the summer.
I think that there's a lot to play for at this moment in time. We know the emotions in this city, based around where you finish and whether you hold trophy above your head between now and the end of the season. I think that has a big part to play in terms of a make-up of our squad next year. So that's certainly any comments I've made recently are not to show that I'm less confident. If anything, I'm more confident today.
Well, that's good news, Ruffy, isn't it?
Well, he's the one that hopefully the Rangers supporters will be hoping he's speaking to them. He's wanting to feel exactly where they want to be, because he'll want to know what he's going to do for the beginning of the season. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I don't think winning trophies is going to matter to the two of them, because they've been there before and they've experienced the European football. So you'll have to really sell the club to them and what they're going to be doing in the future. But I'm a wee bit like Tam. I think if there was any hint of the two of them signing, it would have been in the window.
Yeah?
Yep.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't see them signing any deal now. I don't see the point in it, Pierre.
It depends who's out there. It depends, obviously. Their agents will know they are out of contract, and they are two very, very good players. So there will be clubs interested, and it depends what clubs that are interested, if it's a sort of a better deal than playing with Rangers. But a lot of people say, once you leave Rangers and Celtic, you better go to another club that's worthy of what you're just leaving, because sometimes you can miss it badly.
Well, the one thing I would say about this whole situation is that Michael Beale's got a huge rebuilding job in the summer. And again, I always say to people, listen to what managers say on a weekly basis, whether it's a pre-match press conference or a post-match after a game. And it's quite simply that he has said that he wants to try and really trim down the squad. There's a lot of players in there that are just gathering wages and they will not contribute. So that's the first thing, he's going to empty a lot of players. Then there's that 9 or 10 players, some of them coming to the end of their careers, who might not be able to contribute, who he's going to move them on. And then of course it's the key players that he might want to, I think he's highlighted maybe 3 or 4 or 5 that he'd like to build the whole side around. It's whether he can do that, influence them to stay, in this case of Kent Morelos, and then obviously he has to go and get a number of players that have to come into the team and start next season. I think Rangers are going to change dramatically at the start of next season.
Yeah, but I think there'll be a big turnover of players. I think he was talking about it the other day, 31 players I think Rangers have got, first team players. They've obviously had to sign players because of a lot of injuries. He wants to cut that down, I think, to 22. And augment the squad with young players for the B squad. So, listen, I think he's got 9 or 10 players out of contract in the summer, and so he's got a perfect opportunity. Not only Kent Morelos, you've got Ryan Jack out of contract, Arfield, Davis. There's a lot there that are out of contract, so he's got a great opportunity to reshape the squad and use that budget wisely, and really get a squad more of quality rather than quantity.
Yeah, well, they're coming up against the Livingston side, of course, who managed earlier in the season a 1-1 draw against Rangers at Ibrox. That was, of course, in the Giovanni Van Bronckhorst days, and David Martindale's well aware it's going to be a totally different Rangers.
Depends on the form of the team that's coming here, especially when you're looking at the Old Firm. So I think there's a huge difference in terms of confidence and momentum with the Rangers team that's going to be turning up this Saturday opposed to the Rangers team we faced at Ibrox, or the Rangers team we maybe not so much at the start of the season, to be fair. But you've got to try and use that to the best of our capability. So I'll set up in a certain shape, a certain system with certain personnel that I think can go and have an impact in the game.
Okay, especially on that surface. I think it's a leveller in many ways, but as many a person has said to me, good players can play in any surface, and Rangers have the best players. I've got them to edge it by 2-1, Ruffy.
Yeah, I've got them as well. I think David Martindale's right. He's not getting Rangers at the right time. Rangers are winning games. They're not playing great in every game, but they're winning games. That mentality's there. I think the team selection will be important with Rangers, obviously with the big cup game next week, depending who he plays, who he leaves out, sort of a thing. But I still think they're capable enough. And I think in the evidence of that Livingston-Inverness game last week, I can't see Livingston picking themselves up that much. I think I've went Rangers 2-0.
Yeah. Sam?
I went 3-1 to Rangers, but it'd be interesting to see the Rangers team. I think if he's got anybody, bigger players carrying a knock or a niggle, I don't think he'll risk them. Connor Golson, for example, I think is huge for Rangers. I think if he's carrying a niggle or anything, I think that he might rest him.
Yeah. Is this the time where we ask Ruffy a long question?
Get a drink, Ruffy. Get a drink in beside you.
Get a drink, Ruffy.
Advertise.
No, get a drink. You're turning Tange Postecoglou. There's a cough every 2 minutes now. Take a drink. You okay? Yeah? There you are. There are other drinks other than Lucozade. I just thought I'd mention that to you. You alright? Yeah, that's fantastic.
Something to take that up your hospital bed?
Yeah. That's
usually take up the bottle of Lucozade and grapes on it, remember?
Absolutely, because it's just full of sugar. I'm not quite sure of the benefits of it, but nevertheless, we'll find out on Ruffy's next answer whether the sugar has gone straight to his brain. Hibs against Kilmarnock. Hibs aiming to extend that unbeaten league run to 6 games against Killie that I still think are, still think they're in the mire. For me, I've got 2 teams down there. One of them's Kilmarnock, the other one's Motherwell.
I think the problem with Kilmarnock, and we were talking about earlier, is a lack of a real quality striker. I think Christian Doige obviously can't play. His loan agreement, Kyle Lafferty's not there. The boy Vassell, I think, scored last week, so maybe that'll kick him on. But I just think they've not got enough goals in them, Kilmarnock. They're going to have to be very, very solid defensively and nick games and nick points to get up the table. I think Hibs at the minute, there's just a bit of positivity coming out of the club. Finally, I think that 5 games unbeaten in the league. Lee Johnston's probably his best run as a Hibs manager. He's got Kilmarnock at home, who've been dreadful away from home this season. Eli Johan's banging goals in. Campbell just signed a new deal. So listen, all of a sudden everything's looking up for Hibs. They're looking up the way rather than down the way. We thought, maybe 6-7 games ago they could get embroiled in a relegation battle. I think that's been put to bed. So
has the manager silenced the doubters? He
has, and the only way to do that is at Hibs is to win games, and he's done that. He's picked up points, and he'll be looking forward to getting this game. But again, if Hibs don't pick up 3 points, the fans will be back on him again. That's just the nature of the job at Hibs. So he's got to get back out there and pick up 3 points and keep pushing Hearts and keep in touch with Hearts for that 3rd place.
You always need key players on your side that can win games for you. We've already talked about the qualities of some of the players at Hibs. For Killie, they're on a run of 4 defeats in the last 5 games, 2 points clear of the bottom 2, but the record is just abysmal. 14 of their last 25 league games they've lost. I think he's looking for the likes of a Jordan Jones to step up there, Daniel Armstrong. These are the type of players who can do something for him. He needs them.
Yeah, he needs somebody, he needs somebody basically to score goals, and obviously with Lafferty leaving, he was their mainstay in there. They'll be encouraged by that wee win they had last week, but that was against another poor side, so they're coming up against a side who's got a wee bit of form. I can't see them winning tomorrow, and again that on loan thing bugs me something awful.
Yeah.
I know the reasons why you wouldn't, but if you think somebody's no good enough to play for you and you let them go to somebody else, why not let them play?
Because they can come back.
I know, but I just don't get it.
You're not having it?
No, I'm not having that.
If he scores a winning against you, your fans are going to be raging.
Well, would you be upset if Doige was playing?
Yeah.
Not particularly, no, but...
All right. Just want to know that, Ruffy, just in case. What happens if the badge kisser's offered back to us on loan? Are we taking him? Okay.
Dodgy question.
Yeah, exactly. Hibs 2, Kilmarnock 1. What have you got?
Same, 2-1.
2-0.
Okay. What about ex-Hibs chairman Rod Petrie? He's applied to join UEFA's executive committee. He's going to find out if he's successful in April about this. So it's a great job for Rod. You just walk through the UEFA corridors, bit of paper in your hand, go to a couple of meetings, pick up a large cheque, and you don't ever have to have a press conference anywhere.
Yeah.
I like that job, Ruffy. I really want that. I'm happy Rod's got that, because I can't actually, I think in all the time I've been in the business, I think I maybe have heard Rod speak 3 times as the...
I used to hear him speak every week. I used to get and see him on a Monday morning.
Yeah, but that was for a fine.
Yeah.
But Rod, that's a great job for him.
So there's a lot of people use the vehicle of a club to get into that sort of a arena,
yes,
if you're going to call it. No, they use a stepping stone of
to
president here and president there, and then they move on to
non-accountability.
An objective, yeah. But he'll bring a lot of laughter to the...
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck, UEFA. Fantastic.
He's actually got a dry sense of humour, Rod.
Absolutely.
He has.
But I'm just saying, it's a great job. It's a great job to saunter about, isn't it?
He's sitting stroking his... I've got bad memories of Rod. Every time I see him, it costs me money.
Yeah, but it's a great job to have, isn't it? Saunter about UEFA doing nothing, you know.
Bit exuberance in that job.
Big fan. Robbo's a big fan of her.
Yeah.
John Robbo.
Yeah, I bet he is. Anyway, you're just a muckraker, that's what you are. Anyway, but listen, if you were thinking of great jobs, that's the one to get into UEFA and do nothing. Dundee United against St Johnstone. Dundee United, bottom of the table, without a win in 4 games across all competitions. Obviously, we know Ian is suspended after his sending off, and they're taking on St Johnstone. Now, I have to say, if we've been talking about managers under pressure, I think Liam Fox is now right behind the 8 ball.
This is an important one for him. I'm going to stick with him because I'm going to do a Motherwell moment. I think every team can turn the corner, and this is an ideal opportunity at home to turn the corner. You know, I know St Johnstone have been doing okay, but I think they're at home, and the only thing that will go against them if St Johnstone score first, because I don't think the fans are hanging on to Liam Fox. I don't think they're giving him much leeway. So if they were to go behind, I think it would turn a wee bit and make it a lot more difficult. And I think the fans are the ones that are going to determine, you know, where he goes, when he stays.
Okay, so you're still backing him at the moment.
I'm going to go for Dundee United. Yeah, I don't like seeing guys getting sacked.
No, of course you don't, Ruffy. Nobody likes seeing anybody getting sacked, but we just call things based on the evidence of the way the team's playing and the results that they get. So on that basis, are you sticking by him if we were to lose on Saturday?
Yeah, I think he comes over quite well. You know, I think the players seem to be wanting to play for him. I think it's all about the supporters. I've said all along, it's when the supporters turn and it's directed at Tony Ashgar and people like that, that's when meetings get held and you go into a room and you all decide, is it or is it not? I wouldn't. I think he's a young guy getting in there, and I think he's still got a lot to offer. That's why I hope he gets a win. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that Rod Petrie answer till we eventually got to the nub of it, because quite simply, United fans may well be determining it. We have to look at it and say, okay, if he loses in this game...
No, Peter, no chance. No chance of the sacking him. No. Not sacking him, no. I think you've got to give managers an opportunity. You know, you've got managers now, how long has he been in the job? You know, Sean Maloney was another one at Hibs. You've got to give him an opportunity. Even if he doesn't get beat, even if they get beat.
You give him a chance to build his own side.
You've got to give him an opportunity. You've got to give people...
What is an opportunity in your mind?
A season.
Yeah?
You've got to give him the end of the season.
Yeah, well,
we'll get the end of the season.
What's the difference between him and Lee Johnson? People were calling for Lee Johnson's head at one point.
Well, I don't think they were calling for his head. I don't think I've ever called for his head. I think he had to pick up results, but I think that I think the expectations at Hibs are bigger than Dundee United, to be honest. I think so. No, I think you've got to give him an opportunity, but I'm going to go for St Johnstone to beat them. I'm going for St Johnstone 2-1.
Okay, right, that's good.
St Johnstone, I just think Dundee United or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm going to go for St Johnstone to get upset.
Listen, if Dundee United ever wanted the incentive to actually go and perform, it's certainly on Saturday, because This is one game where I'd love to be there just filming it, Ruffy, which is they're hosting the Legends Day on Saturday to honour the title-winning side of 1983. Again, it's 40 years since they won the title. I can still see Ralph Milne chipping that ball at Dens Park into the back of the net.
They won the league in 1983 and Aberdeen won the Cup Winners' Cup 1983.
And the Super Cup.
Super Cup, that's amazing. I can't believe it.
It's just unbelievable, isn't it?
It seems like that could never happen.
And can I tell you something? What a team they had. They were absolutely magnificent.
Who was Celtic Rangers in 1983, second and third? Or were they watching?
No, Rangers in 1983 was just pre the Souness era. It was a couple of years before it, but Rangers in 1983 were mediocre at best. And by the way, they had Sandy Clark and Ali McCoist up front, but they just didn't have the quality back.
Dundee United, were Aberdeen second in the league? Who were they?
Aberdeen were closing in. I think Celtic in 1983 had a really good side, but Dundee United managed just to hold them off. And on that day, Celtic beat Rangers 4-2 at Ibrox, while Dundee United just needed to make sure that they would win. And I think the chip from Milne, the 2-1 win, was enough to give them the title. I mean, you look at that side, Ruffy. Oh, Paul Sturrock, fantastic. You know, Ralph Milne we've mentioned. Richard Gough was part of that title-winning side. Neri, Hegarty, Malpass, brilliant players.
That boy Graham Payne.
Yeah, red-headed boy, really good player, Graham Payne. Yep, fantastic team, weren't they?
Wonderful team.
Sturrock was my favourite. I thought he was a great player.
Yeah, I thought obviously Jim McLean thought he was way above. He should have been playing with bigger clubs.
Yeah, he might have thought that, but the 9-year contract he gave him just had him tied.
£100 a week, £1,000 a win.
Yeah, the 3-year option.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Liam Fox himself is saying some of these players need to step up, not just for the fans, but for some of the legends.
I think, firstly, these guys absolutely deserve their day on Saturday. It's a fantastic achievement. Real legends of the football club. I've said this previously, this is a fantastic football club. We've got some really, really good people in and about the club. So we know that we're, at this point in time, we're letting them down as well as the supporters. So we've got a lot of big performances due to come up to get us off the bottom to start with, and where we need to get to. If you're asking me if I'm going to use that, I think we're a wee bit off that team at the moment. So,
yeah, I think Liam's been brutally honest here. A wee bit is maybe not a good measurement. The size of the River Nile is probably a good measurement of how far they are off that brilliant side. Just on that point, I'm looking at the predictions here. I have 1-1 Ruffy.
I went Dundee United to win 2-1.
Have you?
2-1.
And to be fair, Ruffy, you were right for Motherwell in midweek. So
you've got to turn the corner sometime. Even
a blind squirrel finds a nut now and again.
Yes, you're right.
That's possibly the best way to sum up Ruffy on that one, because he came in and you couldn't wipe the smile off his face in the predictor. St Mirren against Ross County. St Mirren 6th in the table. Although they lost in midweek, I think Stephen Robinson was quick to point out that they're in a good position. Okay, it's a setback losing a game, but they're really playing well this season. Adam Binney was out there to find out what the latest news was from the St Mirren camp.
St Mirren are hoping to get back to winning ways after 3 straight defeats when they take on Ross County at the Smythe Stadium tomorrow afternoon. The most recent defeat coming on Wednesday night against Motherwell, but losing the 3 points might not be the most detrimental consequence of that match. Stephen Robinson was speaking to us this morning, who declared a number of new first team players out with injuries.
We can't get a scan until Tuesday, but it doesn't look promising at the moment. Alex Gogic is very, very doubtful for the game. Keanu Bacchus, very, very doubtful for the game. Curtis Main is very, very doubtful for the game. So you can see where I'm going when the squad's going to be tested to the absolute limit. But we knew that when we, under financial circumstances, we had to move people on in that window, that we were going to be pushed if we got injuries, and unfortunately they've all come at the same time.
As a result of the injuries, there will be a number of St Mirren Youth Academy players taking their seats on the bench tomorrow afternoon, and manager Stephen Robinson has full faith in the youngsters to deliver for his side.
I think, tomorrow on the bench we'll have, out with 2 defenders, we'll probably have, we might not be able to fill the bench, but we'll have 7 kids on the bench. And I mean kids, you're talking 17, 18 that haven't played in the first team, but they're good kids, they're really good kids. They're just not quite ready for first team football. But sometimes You know, people told me people at Motherwell weren't ready. We threw them in, and they surprise you because their enthusiasm and they've no fear, absolutely no fear. So that's what we'll do. You know, and if we need to put them on, listen, we'll put an established, experienced 11 out. You know, but beneath that, then it's young enthusiasm, which gets you a long way in life.
Yeah. £100 on Ross County, please. 100, yeah, to win. No, don't play. £100 to win. Ruffy.
I don't understand. I don't know.
What?
I'm sure Malky Mackay will be loving that interview. But, you know, I don't get that one. Young players don't have any fear. But if I'm a young player and I've never played in the first team, I'd be sitting there panicking that I'm going to get put on. You're not going to go and going, oh, I'm going to be...
What were you like in your first game?
Nervous as hell.
Were you?
Oh God,
Who were you
was
playing?
a bag of nerves.
Who were you playing?
It was Partick Thistle versus Morton, I think it was.
Oh,
Morton
the big one.
At Firhill. My first game, I was 16. I was terrified.
Yeah.
Terrified. I don't get this, you know, the confidence. Maybe it's a new thing. Maybe it's a new...
Yeah. And now, Tam.
My first start was Hearts at Tynecastle.
Was that your first
My
start?
first start for Hibs was at Hearts
In
at
the
Tynecastle.
11?
Were you nervous?
Started, gave Gary Naismith a nosebleed, got man of the match.
Is that right?
Aye, we got beat 2-1, I played right wing, played 80 minutes or something. Played really, really well, and that was beginning the downfall for me.
Brilliant. And you gave him an absolute roasting.
I did.
Yeah.
Gary Naismith was a tremendous player, by the way,
Great
very good player.
Yeah.
But gave my tank in that day.
Well, I'm delighted to say we're joined live now by Gary Naismith.
Really would admit that himself.
I'm going to ask him, by the way. I'm going to say to Daisy because they'll not be allowed. What? Dylan Reid. Now, this is something we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about it in tomorrow's programme as well. One of the youngsters, Dylan Reid, is signed for Crystal Palace. Obviously, Celtic were in for him, but he's now a 3.5-year deal down south in London. And it's yet another one of those young players who hasn't really, he's got about 8 games I think, he hasn't really been able to get that magical 100, 150 starts. He's gone down south, he might be nowhere near that Crystal Palace side for a good few years. You know, money's a big talker and your future, Ruffy, but we're losing players at that age now. They're cherry picking them for England.
Yeah, they are, and the modern day young player now is whatever club he's at, and let's just say he's at one of the bigger clubs, he's got to really sit back and take notice of the players that particularly Rangers and Celtic are signing. And if you're thinking you're falling back, you know, you're getting less and less of a chance, you've got to open your horizon, you've got to go and test yourself at a different level, because if you're not going to get tested at the club you're at, you know, there's no point in sitting there, you know. We keep talking about the boy Lowry all the time, you know, and last year everybody was saying he's the next Barry Ferguson, you know, but he's not going to be the next Barry Ferguson if he's not playing first team games. So he's got to come up with some way of expressing to the manager of the team that he's at that he should be a good player, and he might have to go out somewhere else. And I know what you're saying. It's for a young lad to get into Crystal Palace, and you know, and he could be sitting in the background for a while as well, but you've got to try different things.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, there's an argument for and against on this one. Of course, young players, when they get their chance, they have to go and grasp it. We've got a point here that says Paul McStay, Charlie Nicholas were regulars at a young age. If they're ready, if they're not ready, they're not good enough. Well, that's the thing about it. If you're good enough, it doesn't really matter about your age. You should just be thrown in there. There are some managers who do that on a regular basis, and I think actually when you listen to that one-to-one with John McMaster, he was talking about Fergie was the master of just saying, here are the young players that we have here at Aberdeen, I'm going to throw a few of them in and sprinkle it with a bit of gold dust around a solid back line with Miller and McLeish. It was a great insight into Fergie in those days, and of course you only have to look at the class of 92 at Manchester United when he threw in more than a few youngsters as well. Hugh Scott says, incidentally, Ruffy, in that debut, did Andy Ritchie score against you?
No, I think he did.
No, not that game.
Can remember that
16.
No, I don't.
I think at that time, Ruffy, Andy Ritchie was at Celtic.
Possibly, yeah.
You know?
No, which would be a bonus that night. Now, maybe that's why I was panicking. For future reference.
Yeah. Did you used to have nightmares about Andy Ritchie when you were playing?
You know, because I keep saying this, for a big guy with so much ability, way back then, there was nobody would have a shot for the centre. And he would have a shot for the centre. He had a shot for a corner.
Yeah.
You know, free kicks outside of the foot. You know, so comfortable on the ball. Obviously, mobility was a bit restricted.
Yeah.
But I mean, technically, way ahead. Him and Davy Cooper, way ahead of anybody in Scottish football.
Yeah, I mean, at that time, I mean, I know some people think, oh, Andy Ritchie, who, you know, if you're a certain age, Tom, I must admit, you know, he was carrying a few pounds at times, right? But what a player for technical ability. And Fergie used to warn his side, you know, and this is people who were going on to win European competitions. Watch Andy Ritchie, because he'll just take the mickey out of you.
Yeah, but obviously it was before my time, but I have seen some clips on social media and on YouTube.
You see the free kick?
I've seen the free kick against Ruffy. I've seen him scoring a cracker against Aberdeen. I think he lobbed the goalie.
Yeah, called it was outside his foot.
So, and that was against obviously a great team. So I think he's still a proper hero at Morton. I think they love him down there. He's a cult hero down there, and I've been in his company a couple of times. A really, really nice guy as well. So no, he was a tremendous player.
Just out of curiosity, I wish I'd heard that Stephen Robinson interview before we come on here. It's dropped in there, and he's just absolutely scattergunned the hopes of him winning. I've got St Mirren to win 1-0.
I've got 2-1 St Mirren, but
no, I've got Ross County. Good performance against Rangers at Ibrox. I've got them to get a draw. I think that they're now in the mode now. They're picking up points,
yeah,
and that's
safety mode.
Yeah, they're getting. I think the signings that he's made, the 4 or 5 signings he got in, have got the bit between the teeth, and I think they're good enough to get points away from home now.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're going to be out on the road doing a couple of outside broadcast specials as well, Ruffy, that I thought I might mention to you. Little specials where you, me and Tam Cowan hopefully heading out to one of our mates who's got Inspired Flooring. I'm just mentioning that to you because I know you guys will start to think, furniture, new floors, but Greg is opening a new part of his shop. We're going to be heading out there to do a wee show there and maybe get some special guests. Fantastic shop. Yeah, so
sounds sweet.
Absolutely, there you are. Hey, gag number 784. Rank rotten, but he's got it in. We're happy with that back post header. What about the game that we haven't talked about, the Sunday game, Motherwell against Hearts? Well, at Fir Park today, Kerry Pollock.
Here at Fir Park this morning, Stuart Kettlewell is preparing his players to go for their second win in a row after a win over St Mirren on Wednesday night. Coming up this weekend, they'll face Hearts this Sunday. And a speculation surrounds who will be taking over that managerial position here at the club, whether it be Stuart Kettlewell or someone else. The current interim boss reminded us he hasn't been asked the question just yet.
There's been no interviews again from my situation. I've been pretty busy. I don't know if you know, over the last couple of days there's been a lot going on in terms of preparing the team and now looking forward towards Hearts. So that situation hasn't appeared, and I'm not expecting anything moving forward. My focus has to be on trying to make sure that we're right and we can acquit ourselves right on Sunday.
After getting that win under their belts on Wednesday night, Kettlewell said he's starting to see a difference in his players.
Watching the boys coming in again this morning, they rightly feel good about the work that they've done. I think you almost need to put a full stop on that, take lots of the good aspects, but we now need to think about what we approach on Sunday and the challenge that awaits us on Sunday, which is going to be really difficult.
It was a fine performance that turned into a 3-0 defeat for Motherwell the last time they met Hearts here at Fir Park. So can the Steelmen drive themselves away from that relegation zone, or will Hearts extend their lead in third? It all takes place here at Fir Park this Sunday at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, should be a good one. Stuart Kettlewell said he's noticed a change in attitude from the players since he took over. Well, that tells me that they didn't fancy playing for Stephen Hamill.
Yeah, it looks that way, but I mean, any football team getting a win, the place is bouncing. When you've been on such a terrible run, you know, heads are up and you're all coming in looking forward to going to training, and that's what it does. But for me, it's all about Hearts at the weekend. Hearts need to start showing us that they're the number 3 team. You know, they need to start winning these kind of games away from home, not going away to St Mirren and getting a draw. You know, start winning and dominating. But I still think they will be the third team, but I'd like to see them showing the form of a third team.
Yeah, okay. Well, what about the Hearts camp? Kerry was on her travels today to find out what Robbie Neilson had to say.
Here at the Oriam this afternoon, Robbie Neilson has been preparing his players to take on Motherwell at Fir Park this Sunday, where he will be expecting his team to extend their lead in third, but going up against a team like Motherwell with an interim boss and desperate for a win. The Jambos boss says sometimes you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, but it's obviously when a manager leaves and someone comes in interim, it's going to be different. You know, there's going to be different ideas coming in. I watched them on Wednesday against St Mirren, yeah, and obviously changed their shape. They went 3-5-2, a bit more direct in their play, more aggressive, and they got the result. So I would expect them to stick with that. That's dependent on if someone comes in before it. So, you know, when you play against teams that are in that kind of interim basis, you never really know what you're going to get.
The Jambos boss also said that extending their lead in third is one huge motivator within the squad going into this game.
It's massive for us, obviously. We're playing the Sunday, so we've got an idea of where we're sitting. We've got an opportunity to get to with 3 points, and you know, the further clear we can go, obviously, the better for us.
Yeah, well done to Kerry. She'll be doing the weather, and she's hosting Question Time next week as well.
Take note there.
Yeah, absolutely. She's been all over the place.
Miles in.
Absolutely. That's the great thing about our reporters. They're out there covering the press conferences for you and getting you the managers and the players. And on a Saturday, no less time, we've got our reporters out at every one of the Scottish Premiership matches.
Brilliant. It's great for us, you know, to hear about the games at half time, you know, how the games are going, you know, talking points, we can chat about it in here. So,
and we've brought in a big striker who can hold the ball up and bring in the midfield.
Yeah, Big Ali, see it again tomorrow.
Ali Graham is at St Mirren.
Brilliant. Big Ali's out doing it. It was great with Patrick last week. We spoke about it. It was like his boy, wasn't it?
It was like the odd,
great. It was
I
really
did
good.
say to Patrick, it was like the odd couple huddled in together at Wraith Rovers.
So no, I said it's great you've got reporters out there because they give you an insight of the game, how it's been going, the goals, you know, talking points, and we can chat about it in here. So the more reporters you've got out there at the games, the better, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Saturday, 4 o'clock till 6. Good noise up. We have a right good laugh, and we engage with our audience and take a few pelters, and it really is good fun if you want to join us. 4 o'clock till 6. Remember, it's one of those ones where we enjoy the banter as well. It's not one of those ones where we've got a coat hanger and it's all kind of a staid and very serious, you know. So there are programmes like that. I just thought I'd throw that out to you.
That's why Ruffy's not doing a Saturday.
Yeah, Ruffy.
Babysitting.
From the boardroom to Saturday afternoon. You used to do the Saturday afternoon, didn't you?
I look after my grandchild sometime
on a Saturday. Oh, brilliant. And look at that. Your ratings have just gone up with all the people of a certain age after you said that. Fantastic. Okay. Hearts Chief Executive Andrew McKinlay, as ever, I think a lot of clubs try and do the right thing. They've made a £3,000 donation to Hamilton's Youth Academy, basically to apologise for some of the pyrotechnic damage to the pitch. It's a lovely gesture from Andrew McKinlay after that win. But the last thing you want to see, especially on those pitches, if you throw a flare, it burns the surface.
Yeah, it certainly does. And I mean, I thought a lot of the clubs have been saying it's so dangerous, you know, that I think it was at a game, I don't know, there was a game that somebody had thrown a flare from far back and it never even reached the park, and it hit the supporters, their own supporters, you know, in the front 2 or 3 rows. So it just shows you how dangerous they could be. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, what have you got for this one? I've got Hearts to win 3-1. I've got Hearts 2-1. Hearts 2-1. Yeah, okay. Give us your thoughts on how you think the games are going to go. Remember, if you're on the feed, give us your opinion on some of the stories that have been emerging today, your opinion on how you think your season's going, and also give us your prediction, because next season you're going to have to join in with us. I think we're going to have everybody in the predictor with some great prizes. We won't win prizes. There was a suggestion that when the fans get involved in the predictor next season, Ruffy, the winner should be coming to the meal with us as well, which is... I'm not sure about that, Ruffy. What do you think? Yeah, need to sign an agreement. Disclosure. Yes, a non-disclosure. That's exactly what they... I like your way of thinking, Tom. Because if not, then... It can be mental the night suit. Yeah, look at... Some of the youngins. It is a mental night out, and if you do win the predictor next season, it's one of those situations. It's more like a stag night, Ruffy, isn't it? If they don't sign the document, then you know, we just tie them to the bridge in the Clyde. Somebody will pick them up. Anyway, football is what we love, and we absolutely love the fact that you engage with us. Join us at 4 o'clock tomorrow if you can. A couple of things before we go. Ten Hag, it was a great game. What a game of football. One of the best games I've seen in a long time. Yeah, maybe 2-2 in the new camp. How good was that, Ruffy? Well, I think we all know that Man United should have taken their chances and made the second leg a lot easier, but certainly if they can create that kind of form and chances at goals, you know, there's goals to be taken, so I would imagine they'd go through. Yeah, you think so? Yeah, I thought it was brilliant, Tom. It was two teams just wanting to attack. Yeah. There wasn't a lot of defending, there wasn't a lot of time wait. It was a great game of football to watch. Did you do the Thriller situation? What? Michael Jackson sitting in the cinema?
No,
can't leave it.
No, it was a great game, and
you couldn't take your eyes off it, could you not?
I thought that Man U could have had the game out of sight as rough as it is, but I thought Barcelona could have won it towards the end. They came on very strong towards the last 15-20 minutes, so I think if the second leg's anything like that, it's one to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric Ten Hag just can't believe that they didn't win it.
Yeah, so a little bit more. The critic is more clinical, finished chances, and that is what we didn't do, because in such a game we created many chances. You can't expect actually, but we did, and then is a little bit disappointment that you didn't score them, and I think we should have scored minimum 4 goals.
Yeah, and then some. What a game it was, 2-2. I love European football like that. As long as you've got top draw teams playing it the right way, and boy, those two teams went at it. It was amazing.
I think that result during the week, Man City beating Arsenal, Man United's got a wee chance, I think, in the league this season. I think they're only 6 points behind.
You think they can win the league?
I think they can win the league. I think Arsenal still got to play Man City, but I don't think Man United have got to play either of them. So...
yeah, here's the fixtures for the weekend on the English Premier League. We will keep you up to date with that on the Saturday show, as well as all the lower leagues in Scotland. It's Aston Villa, Arsenal, Brentford, Crystal Palace, Wolves, Bournemouth, Brighton, Fulham, Everton, Leeds, Chelsea, Southampton, Nottingham Forest against Man City, Newcastle United against Liverpool. Ruffy is one that I'll watch. And then Sunday, Man United, Leicester, and Tottenham against West Ham. So there's your choice. As far as the competition, it's still going. It'll still go tomorrow. Here's Adam with a chance for you to win an Ajax top.
Another fantastic competition from PLZ Soccer. You can win this iconic replica Ajax shirt by answering this simple question. How many times have Ajax won the European Cup? Post your answers in the comment section below. If you want to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. The answer to the quiz question. We talked about the great work that Lou Macari is doing in the Stoke-on-Trent area. And the question was, which year did Lou Macari sign?
I said 78, you said 76?
Yeah.
Well, in 78, when we went to Argentina, he was in the squad and he was with Man United.
Yeah.
In 78.
So you get a feeling that your man's nailed it?
Earlier. I think earlier, so I'm going for 76.
You went for 76 at the start anyway, and Tam went for 1978. The answer we were looking for Lou Macari was 1973 was the year that he joined.
I wasn't far away.
Who?
No, I wasn't far away.
Yeah.
You were gone, man.
You were long gone. Lou Macari was a really good player for Celtic. Didn't want to really hang around. I think he wanted a better deal at Celtic. Celtic weren't prepared to offer him it, and he got more money at Man United.
Yeah, I think that's the way it usually ends up, particularly way back then.
Ended up being a legend.
Move. Yeah, good move for him.
Did you like him as a player?
Yeah, great player.
Yeah.
Was a person, good guy?
Good lad.
Yeah.
And by the way, full marks to him. Maybe not the question you should have asked there, just as we're complimenting him. Good lad, Lou, because I think he deserves tremendous credit for the work he's done, especially with the homeless and those cabins that have done a great bit of help for a lot of homeless people in that area. And I wish most of the UK would actually embrace that blueprint that he's put together in that area. All it needs is sponsorship, an area where they can build those pods and help a lot of homeless people come off the street. Thanks to a lot of people who remember Lou Macari as a player and say he was absolutely fantastic.
The manager at Celtic as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, he was manager. He wasn't there, but he was manager. Anyway, apart from
Frank McAvenny question.
No, Frank hasn't commented yet. Well, Frank, as soon as Lou came in, Frank was punted.
He didn't like the playboy.
Just showed that's exactly it. Exactly.
Anyway, people with bad attitudes, Ruffy.
Yeah, well, and that's why Ruffy is here, because we like people who are a little bit maverick, a little bit off the wall. Hopefully you're enjoying it too. If you are, even if you're not, I think somebody mentioned it now, I want to thank you for it, and he actually mentioned it in a broad Aberdeen accent. If you're not an Aberdeen fan, you certainly will enjoy it as a neutral to listen to John McMaster talking about the Gothenburg greats. And I've got a few other Aberdeen legends coming in to talk about that wonderful year. 2 European trophies, European Super Cup. They beat some really good teams along the way to winning the Cup Winners' Cup, but won the Super Cup as well. It's well worth listening to John McMaster and enjoy that. Good luck with the competition. It's ongoing. We'll announce the winner on Monday and get the prize out to them then. Tam, behind you, next week's prize is a belter.
The goat.
That's all we're saying. Tam's giving you a little sniff of what's on offer next week.
No, the real goat was on last night, Tiger Woods. Did you see him?
Yeah. No, I don't know where he is going with this, by the way, but that's for Tam. Join Tam on PLZ Golf Show. That's at midnight tonight. Thanks to Tam McManus, thanks to Ruffy, who clearly has people that he doesn't like in life, and for myself, Peter Martin. Join Tam and myself 4 o'clock tomorrow. All our reporters at all the Scottish Premiership matches to keep you right up to date on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.